Hello. Today I want to introduce you to the concept of Servat Nahon. Servat Nahon, what is it? Well, it's a Persian phrase and it means hidden treasure. And so I hope that today we're going to uncover some hidden treasure. It takes a particular kind of seeing to see through the eyes of the prophets, a particular kind of hearing to hear their words, and a particular kind of courage to receive the message that they bring to us, but then to act on it. The seers, the prophets, the storytellers have been speaking to us down through the generations, and their words still ring out today. But not everyone will hear the message that they bring to us. Their words are often lost on a culture that prefers quick sound bites and fast food propaganda than it does true wisdom and true beauty. And most people will not hear the message that they bring. And so today I thought that we would do a little test. What sort of seer and hearer are you? Around 2,700 years ago, there lived a prophet named Isaiah, and he lived in the Middle East, in the area that we now call Israel. And he spoke of a time that would be massively significant in the shaping and the reshaping of the nations of the world. This is what he says. Lift up your eyes and look around. They all gather together, they come to you. Your sons shall come from far away, and your daughters shall be carried on their nurses' arms. The abundance of the sea shall be brought to you. The wealth of the nations shall come to you. Foreigners shall build up your walls, and the nations will bring you their wealth. Can you see that as a vision for Stoke-on-Trent? How would you feel if wealth bringers, people with prosperity, entrepreneurs were coming to our city, were bringing their skills, their creativity, their value, their riches? Do you see the people that I might be talking about in that passage? Can you see asylum seekers and refugees as that sort of people? Most people won't see them like that because that's not how they are portrayed. Asylum seekers and refugees don't come with their high value and their prosperity on visible show. Would you be happy for these people to come and live in your street? Would you be happy for them to be your next door neighbour? Would you be happy for your children and your grandchildren to be educated together? I would. I would be opening my arms to welcome them. I would want them to be my friends, because the wealth of the nations is coming to us. The abundance of the seas is coming to us. But can we recognise them? I'm not going to waste my words repeating the hate-filled rhetoric that is winning referendums and election campaigns around the world. But you've all seen them on the internet, in newspapers, you've heard them. Maybe your family groups, your social networks, maybe you've had those conversations. Because asylum seekers and refugees come to us labelled as illegal, pushed into a system that dehumanises and strips of all dignity. Direct government policy is to create a hostile environment for people who are most badly in need of our welcome, of our support, of our love. I count myself privileged to have such hiddenly valuable people as my friends. One of my friends is named Masood, and he is an amazing chef. He cooks the most beautiful food, and I can't visit his home without being sat down and treated to a wonderful meal of seafood, of lobster, of big king prawns, of octopus, beautiful Mediterranean vegetables, fluffy rice and bread that just simply melts in your mouth. He's from Gaza on the West Bank, and he's seen and experienced things that no human should ever experience, and the images of that play round and round in his mind. And yet when he's cooking, when he's pouring his passion for food and his creativity for food into his cooking, his soul comes alive again. And yet our asylum process has determined that he and others like him are not allowed to work. They're not allowed to have an outlet for their skills, for their gifts, for their creativity, for their talent, but instead are forced to stay at home and exist on a handout of £36.90 per week. Who loses out? We all do. At Sanctus, our support group for refugees and asylum seekers, we look for ways for him and other people like him to build on their skills, their talents, and to volunteer. And so we can all benefit from that. And we hope that one day we'll help him to develop a small business. Maybe one of those boarded up shops or cafes will be a lovely restaurant where you can all go to enjoy the gifts that he brings to us. Isaiah says that the key to the prosperity to any city is to pay attention to Servat Nahon. And he says that when we do, your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt. You shall raise up the foundations of many generations. Do we want that to happen here in Stoke-on-Trent? It's beginning to happen, but do we want it to continue? Have we got broken down buildings? Have we got buildings that are boarded up, subject to vandalism? Have we got streets that need to be brought back to life? Do we want to go out into our city centre with our children, with our grandchildren, and enjoy a meal without being subject to falling over homeless people or, suffering abuse? Do we want that? I believe that we do. And I believe that we have a shortage of wealth creators in our city, but we can do so much to harness the skills, the gifts, the creativity, the entrepreneurship of the people who are already here and yet have been prevented from sharing their gifts with us. The remedy is right here among us, and we need to harness that. We need to make the most of it. And people are coming daily. We are a dispersal city for the Home Office, and so when people seek asylum, they often come to Stoke-on-Trent. We need to encourage them. We need to embrace them. We need to help them be all that they can be, because they will be the key to prosperity for our city. At many stages throughout the asylum process, people can be made destitute. They add to the problem of homelessness on our streets. And at Sanctus, we aim to help them to prevent that happening. We aim to build capacity to support people through this most dangerous and desperate time of their lives. And one such couple that we've helped are from Russia, named Mariam and Igor. She's an accountant and he a skilled craftsman in the building industry. So when I bought a derelict and broken down house from Stoke-on-Trent City Council, I didn't have to look very far for someone to help me bring that house back to life again. That is now a welcoming place of hospitality, of friendship, of welcome, of community, and of fellowship. But it's also a model for Sanctus of a very simple form of social investment that anyone can participate in. Say, for instance, you have £40,000 or £50,000 sitting in a bank account that's not earning any interest at all. You could buy a house in Stoke-on-Trent. This is probably one of the cheapest areas in the country to buy a house. You could buy a house in Stoke-on-Trent. You could have all the fun of doing it up, of partnering with some of our skilled craftsmen and our volunteers. And then you could loan that house to us for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, however long. At the end of the period, you get your house back. It's been lived in, it's been loved, you sell it at a profit, which is probably far more than you would have got if you'd got your investment sitting in a bank account. But so much more than that, you help to change a person's life. The people that we have living in our houses may be people who've gained refugee status but have not yet had the opportunity to, in that 28-day window that they're given, to establish their lives. 28 days, amazingly short period of time. And it's just a wonderful thing to be involved in. And you could maybe befriend the guests that live in the house that you own. It has a wonderful capacity to change people's lives. Families can move on to the next stage and can become established, can build up businesses, the children can be educated. And I just want to share the story of one more family with you. 2.5 years ago, a lady walked into the drop-in at St Marks Church. She was a Syrian lady, and she was in an extremely distressed state. Her husband had been kidnapped, tortured, and then murdered, and his dead body was dumped on the doorstep of their family home in Syria for her and her 5 children to find. You can imagine how that was for them. Or maybe you can't. Maybe we can't even begin to imagine what it's like for families in Syria and other such places. She and her 5 children were in grave danger. And so she had no viable option other to entrust herself and her precious children into the untrustworthy hands of an agent, or traffickers as we know them to be. It didn't go well. And as happens in so many cases, the mother and her children got separated. She ended up here in Stoke-on-Trent with her toddler, and her 4 other children, aged between 9 and 15, were left alone in Bulgaria, with no adult to care for them. She sat across the table from me, looking into my eyes. And as I looked into her eyes, I looked through her tears, and I saw what the prophet saw. I saw the great value of those children and what they meant to the mother and what they should mean to us, alone, vulnerable in Bulgaria. Well, I did what anyone who realised that a great treasure was lying exposed and vulnerable would do. I went to find it. It wasn't an easy journey, but I remember well when that door eventually opened and those 4 children stood in front of me. The oldest boy, Adad, aged 15, said, "We wait. We wait." Millions of people around the world are waiting. They're waiting for a door to be opened. They are waiting for a smile of welcome. But much more importantly, they are waiting to be discovered for the true treasure, the true value, the true beauty that lies within them, the people that could transform our city and all the places that they're going to throughout the world. They are the key to our prosperity. But can we see it? Can we recognize them? Do we have hearts that can comprehend the concept of Servet Nahon? And if we don't, if we can't, are we willing to be shown? Because the wealth of the nations is coming to us. Thank you.